Hello friends, this time I will discuss the Manhua storyline entitled Death King Karnak. This comic tells the story of a human who was born as an illegitimate child from a fallen noble family and became the king of death that even the gods could not fight. After becoming the king of death, he missed his human emotions such as satisfaction and others, so he decided to return to the past with his oldest friend Barros, but suddenly there was an error in the timeline. Let's go straight to the storyline. But before we start, those of you who have just joined can press the subscribe button first so that the admin is enthusiastic about uploading videos to entertain you. The world of Death Necropia, a world for the dead where no traces of life can be found, in the middle of the barren land, a magnificent castle stands tall. Countless rows of golden pillars towered high. Luxurious paintings and various ornaments fill the walls. A large aura and marble-floored exterior, and alluring sculptures that are intricately carved. Above all, the symbol of true power, the ruler of all things, there is the ruler of death named Karnak. As the supreme transcendent and master of death, it was only after 100 years had passed that he realized something. A human should not have power over something like death. When he was still a human, Karnak was the illegitimate son of a nobleman. At a young age, he lost his mother due to violence at the nobleman's residence. He has no one to rely on but himself. Naturally, he has a desire to gain great power. It was then that he accidentally discovered a forbidden record regarding necromancy, ultimately leading him off the path of humanity. Karnak then leads the entire continent to death. 4 great martial kings and 3 wise archmages put up a fight. But absolutely, Karnak managed to turn them into his loyal servants. The Guardian of the World also tried to stop Karnak. But he changed his physical form into a true transcendent Astra Schnapf, turning even the second-last Guardian, the Dragon Emperor Greteria, into his servant. Thus, the world's strongest necromancer, the Master of Death, was born. Yes, I thought everything was his, that he could have anything he wanted. It was 70 years ago. But what could he do with this body that was just bones? How long would he have to continue this meaningless existence? A gentle breeze and bright, warm sunshine, the warmth of human touch. There you can see a mother holding her child. Even the great pain of having the sword pierce my body would be better than this empty life. Karnak asked himself, is there still hope if this succeeds? The master of death, the master of life and death, the master of the continent. There was someone who came before Karnak there. He was Barros, the general of the death squad. Karnak told the bros that he had finished preparing everything. Barros was confused about what Karnak would do. So, because I have a very good feeling about this, it looks like Barros is also happy with what Karnak has done. With the help of Barros, he seeks a way to regain the joy of being human. But satisfaction is a way to fulfill what one does not have. So as true beings, nothing works for us. But because he is a true transcendent, he can find an answer to his search for satisfaction if he cannot feel human pleasure because he is not human. He can turn back time, back to when he was still human. Karnak said, we will return to the point where I first gained the power of dark magic. Barros asked what would happen if you failed. Would you disappear? Karnak was confused as to why Barros said that. Do you have any attachment to his life right now? Even if so, then Karnak would leave him here. But Barros said that it was not. If so, we're ready. The two of them look like they're going back to the time when they were humans. A bright light has appeared and will take them both. A few moments later, they were seen moving suddenly because of the previous incident that happened to them. Barros also told the young master to wake up. Barros asked if he was conscious. Suddenly, Karnak woke up because he was conscious. Karnak asked if you were Barros. Barros answered that he really was Barros. Barros felt that Karnak still looked exactly the same as before. A thin body, black hair, and an arrogant expression on his face. On the other hand, Karnak also saw that Barros was still not as good at teaching as before. Karnak thinks that if we had indeed managed to extend the time, then the book would still be here. And there is a book on the table there, the beginning of everything. Karnak also seemed to want to examine the book with his magic. Suddenly, the book emitted a very thick purple aura. That the book suddenly caught fire because of the enormous power of Karnak. Baras asked whether it was okay if the book caught fire. Karnak replied that it didn't matter, since the contents were already in his head. Besides, it was probably a forbidden note. It was better not to leave anything that would come back to bite us later. Baros realized that Karnak had thought of everything, and it was also obvious to Baros that Karnak looked very cool today. Suddenly, they became silent because something happened. If anything, it was the sound of their stomachs screaming for food. They also looked like they were rushing to get something to eat. Suddenly, people were confused by a very loud sound from inside the room. Not only people from outside, but also people inside were confused when they heard the sound. That the noisy people were the two of them who were enjoying a very delicious meal. They couldn't say anything because the food was so delicious. Baros felt that this was the right decision to risk our lives, that this was so delicious, that he couldn't see because his eyes were filled with tears. Karnak also understands the feelings that Baros has, but Karnak tells him not to overdo it because money doesn't grow on trees. Suddenly, there was someone next to him who was ordering food. That person felt that his food had arrived and it looked very delicious. Seeing that the food next to them had arrived, they were surprised because it was chicken with a very strong aroma. They felt that this place was a 5-star restaurant. But he realized that he couldn't buy it because he came from a failed noble family. But Karnak thought that if he got rid of that person, then he would get the chicken. Hearing this, Baros was very surprised and told him to restrain himself. Baros is aware that with our current strength, we will definitely be beaten up. Baros tells us not to be reckless, and Baros will check the money we have. Baros said that we have a problem today. Hearing this, Karnak was confused about what Baros meant. That Baros feels there is something wrong with our journey into the past. Karnak realized that this was very strange, but so was Baros if something was wrong. Since it is impossible for Baros and Karnak to have that much money, most of it is silver coins. Where everything started to go wrong, right now the family finances, our Jastrad is in a state of poverty. His grandfather, Baron Grellin, started many businesses with the guarantee of territory. All of them failed and only left debts to his father, Baron Karput. Unfortunately, his father did not have the ability to handle the ever-increasing debt. And the 2 children from his wife are useless children who are of no help at all to the family. That he is an illegitimate child born into a broken family. Accepting all the ridicule and abuse from the family and barely surviving every day, at least that's how their family is. Karnak is still wondering where all this money came from, because this money is so much, it is impossible to have this money. That this was not something to be happy about. Was it possible that the time-space regression magic was wrong? Baros was not sure what a swordsman like him knew. Because of the feeling, we didn't go back to the past, but there are too many similarities to the memories. Baros feels that right now we can eat chicken, because Baros can no longer resist wanting to taste chicken like the person next to him before, because it doesn't mean that our worries will disappear if we don't use this money. It looks like they are both imagining how delicious the chicken is. Maybe they will order 1 chicken per person. Without further ado, they immediately ordered 2 chickens at the restaurant because they couldn't stand it any longer. A few moments later, they rushed to get on their horses there. Because they had eaten the delicious chicken, they also felt that their stomachs were full. Baros felt very upset because he had to return to the family he had left a long time ago, and now he had to return again. Karnak replied not to worry about it because we would be fine as long as we licked them. But the problem is how strange the situation is, Baros realized, because it's not just 1 or 2 strange things. They also realized beforehand that the horse station manager was also trying to curry favor with them, with that smile of his. That it was unreasonable that a fallen family would have a horse of such a fine kind. Not only that, the citizens he met before also, those who used to make fun of him, who called him a bastard and the servant a bastard. So happy to meet him that they cried. With all that, Karnak felt really bad, but he knew he would find out once we got back home. It looked like the afternoon weather was so bright and they were almost home. Karnak realized he hadn't seen this place for some time and felt strangely nostalgic. But on the other hand, Boros felt very upset because he didn't have many good memories here. Baros is also an orphan, so he doesn't live a comfortable life. His parents are cheating bastards. Before abandoning Baros in the middle of the night, it was Karnak who found him when he was now alone. After that, Baros went home with Karnak, and surprisingly, Karnak's father allowed him. Because even though I'm an illegitimate child, the family has to save Vase, and I need some kind of helper. Suddenly, Baros asked Karnak something, whether there was a Jestar's residence next to it. It looks like the house is very luxurious. Not only that, the house also has 2 guards at the front gate. Baros felt that we had gone to the wrong place, but Karnak denied it, saying that this was clearly the place he had in mind. High brick walls, a 2-story building with a terrace. A large garden surrounding it was all the same. Apart from the fact that it was incredibly beautiful, it seemed like they had really tidied it up. But where did they get the money for this? That's enough for the video for now. Those of you who have just joined can press the subscribe button first so that in the future the admin will be enthusiastic about uploading. Thank you.